Today we are going to be discussing Matthew 5:39 through 5:44. I want to give you a little history on Matthew before we begin. Some vital statistics. Purpose: to prove that Jesus is the Messiah, the eternal King. Author is Matthew, or Levi. Matthew wrote especially to the Jews. The date he wrote this was approximately 60 to 65 A.D. The setting: Matthew was a Jewish tax collector who became one of Jesus' disciples. This gospel forms the connecting link between the Old and the New Testament because of its emphasis on the fulfillment of the prophecy. The places that are discussed are in Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Capernaum, Galilee, and Judea. So as we start, we are discussing Jesus teaches about revenge. Matthew 5:38. You have heard that it was said, eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if someone wants to sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. If someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Now, as we're studying these verses, let's take a look at Matthew 5:39. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other. Now remember, this is back in, when Jesus was first here and these things were said, and he was talking to the Jewish people that were under the control of the Romans and were oppressed. And we know about oppression in our own country, in our own history. Oppression is not something new for societies or cultures. It is something that we have to, as people, get beyond. Now in our discussion, in 5:39 to 44, too many Jews of Jesus' day. These statements were offensive. Any Messiah who would turn the other cheek was not the military leader they wanted to lead a revolt against Rome. Since they were under Rome's oppression, they wanted retaliation against their enemies, whom they hated. But Jesus suggested a new, radical response to injustice. Instead of demanding rights, give them up freely. According to Jesus, it is more important to give justice and mercy than to receive it. Therefore, he is saying that we as individuals should not take matters into our own hands, that we are blinded by our own emotions, and therefore we must do it collectively and within structure and within the law. And that's what Jesus was trying to teach the Jews. He didn't want them to create small armed bandits trying to go against the Roman Empire, creating nothing but harassment to the Roman people and irritating them, while the Jewish people suffer even further. So, there was a lot of sense into what Jesus was trying to teach the Jews at the time. And the lesson today is that we don't take the law into our own hands. And that's why here in America we have establishments for that. Thank you for listening. God bless. This is Bishop Josh with the Catholic Province. God bless.